Hello everyone and welcome back to Dev's Reviews, and today I've got a very special review for you guys. Today we're going to be looking at the Mk1 Audi TT, also known as the 8 November generation of Audi TT. Going to have a look around it, take it for a test drive, and most importantly I'm going to answer a question: is it a good first sports car? Is it good value for money? We'll look into it and we'll give you a good verdict for today. Anyway, first things first, what I'll do is I'll go through the brief history of the TT, and then we'll go through the styling elements of the car, speak about other automotive design trends that have come from this car, and we'll give you a good interior review, good drive review. You know how it goes. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, give this video a like, share it with your friends, and I'd like to thank everyone firstly for helping me reach 100 plus subscribers within my first year. It's not even been a year since I've started the channel and I've already had massive support from you guys, so thank you. And I can't wait to show you more videos, as this is my first video in 2025 and I've got plenty more exciting content coming for you guys this year. Now let's dive into this review. So I'm just going to give you a brief history of the Audi TT and then we'll get on to the rest of the review. So the Audi TT debuted as a concept car in 1995 and it was very well received by the public and people really fell in love with the car. There's a lot of modern elements that you see on most new cars, like flared wheel arches, all the curvature on the body, and the very sleek and sexual coupe roofline that you get on this car. But the roofline was ever so slightly different on the concept, which would resemble a TT Roadster on a Mk1 as well. Then in 1998, the first ever Mk1 rolled off the production line and came into circulation, and it was a very good hit. 180 horsepower 4-cylinder engine, had a turbocharger on it, had a 6-speed manual gearbox which was quite fun to drive, and then a little bit later on they made the 225 horsepower version, which you find in the Audi S3, and that was the BAM engine code. Very iconic engine, very famous engine in Audi history, and very much loved by the Audi A3 or S3 even, and the TT fan base. And I'd say that the 225 was the most popular selling 1.8T variant and probably the most popular selling variant of an Audi TT Mk1 available. Then in 2002 to 2003 they facelifted the type, and in 2003 they gave us the VR6 3.2 with the first ever DSG gearbox, which this one has, and that's the first ever gearbox you see, and the success of this gearbox has resulted in many twin clutches being used in many of Volkswagen's products and many of Audi's products, such as the Golf R, the Golf GTI, and thanks to this car the DSG gearbox has become a great success and made automatic driving very fun, especially when you had the paddles for manual mode and you had a really insane sport mode, let's say. You'll see that later on in the video, why it's insane, but it really is. But yeah, in 2006 they made a Quattro Sport, which was a special edition of the 1.8T, tuned to 240 horsepower, had a sports clutch in it, only available as a manual, came with a black roof and also black wing mirror caps. You got the 3.2 brakes on, on that Quattro Sport, and it was quite a special iconic edition of the Mk1 TT just as they phased out production. Now this VR6 here was the range topper, I'd say. Definitely top of the range, top of the tree in this DSG version. Manual versions were a bit cheaper, but now the manual versions are skyrocketing in value compared to these, just because there's so many DSGs out, and the DSGs came out a year before the manuals. So hence why there's more of them in circulation. Now, in 2006 they axed the Mk1 and came up with the Mk2, where they had a 2-litre inline 4, and they had the 3.2 VR6 as well. In the facelift Mk2 they discontinued the VR6 just because of the efficiency and also the European regulations, and they favoured it for a TTS 2-litre, which is quite a fun car considering it was the most powerful 2-litre back then. And then they made the TTRS, which is a 5-cylinder 2.5-litre engine in manual and automatic as well. Quite a good hit as well, and a relatively iconic Audi TT, and a very iconic engine in the Audi lineup especially. Then in 2014 they went to the Mark III, which got rid of the analog dials that the Mark 1 and 2 had and went for a virtual cockpit, and it was the first car to debut that feature, and obviously all the Audis nowadays have the virtual cockpit carried down from the TT, and also the second generation R8 as well. Now the Mark III was discontinued in 2024 due to the lack of sales of it. They facelifted it towards 2019 and they gave it a few other styling upgrades compared to its pre-facelift, but I would say the Mark III has aged incredibly well, and same for this Mk1 here, and obviously some of the Mark IIs have aged incredibly well as well. I think all of the TTs are very good aging cars, and throughout all 3 generations this car has been a staple of the affordable sports car in the UK and has a cult-like following to it as well. And that says a lot about this car. It just says how affordable it is, how fun to drive they are, and because it's basically a Volkswagen Golf, you can get a lot of cheap parts for them. Now we'll get on to the next part and we'll go around the styling upgrades. So I'm also now going to go through the styling upgrades on this 3.2 model compared to the 1.8T. Obviously I haven't got 1.8T to show you, but I will point out what's the differences basically that this model gives you. So firstly, on the front, because it's a facelift, you get this grille. The 1.8Ts get this grille as well, and they get a similar front end, but on the 3.2 this front end is in line with this, whereas on the 1.8T it's a little bit sunken in due to the lack of front aero kit. Now with this front aero kit you get quite a nice lip on the front. You get this imitation vent which goes around to the side here and comes out about here. These aren't real vents, as I said, they're just imitation, but it just goes to show how good they're trying to show that it's aerodynamic and all that stuff. These have got the optional S4 wheels on them. You did get Ronal V6 wheels, which are pretty cool, but this one has been spec'd up with the S4 wheels that do cost a little bit more money compared to the standard Ronal V6 wheels, but you do see these on a lot of 1.8Ts, so it's a pretty common wheel, pretty iconic, pretty cool looking. And again, the dimples on these match with the theme of the rest of the car, which you'll see a little bit later on. Because it's a 3.2, you get these bigger brakes. I believe they're 2 piston calipers instead of 1, whereas the 1.8Ts are just 1 piston calipers. Got quite chunky discs, I would say. You do need that for the stopping power on these. As standard on the V6, you do get xenon headlights with headlight washers integrated, but also on halogen ones you would get headlight washers and projector lights. The way you tell the difference between a halogen and xenon light on these TTs is if it's silver on the front or like a grey on the front, same thing really, but people call them different names. If it's got this silver or grey on the front, you know they've got xenons. If it's got a black headlight, they're halogens. But other than that, they've both got washers, they've both got projectors. Now moving on to the side of the car, as you can see, had the little dog come visit me, very nice of him. We have these flared wheel arches on the car. As you can see, it goes into the bonnet, and this theme started off with this car, but other cars you see with these flared wheel arches like the Range Rover Evoque and many other new modern SUVs have this flared wheel arch styling, but thanks to this car, that has become so popular. And you have got a little bit of a design quirk on here where the flared wheel arch joins with the bottom bits, that creates this funny dent looking thing. It's not really a dent, but it does look quite quirky, and it's quite a quirky thing about this car. And then the side sills go around the door like that, which are pretty cool, and you end up with this similar bit on the rear, heading onto the flared wheel arches of the rear. And again, these lovely wheels looking beautiful. I'll put the measurement down of the size of the wheels in the description below or in the pop-up below, just so you can see some specs about it. And then heading towards the rear of the car, you do get this chunkier spoiler with this grey surround around the edge, or dark surround around the edge even. Quite nice, puts a bit more downforce to the car. You've got the iconic TT badge, and back in the day this would have been red, but it has faded due to the sun, but that just proves it's a quicker car, quicker TT. And obviously you've got the engine size on the back, so people know you're driving a gas guzzler, and it's got the Quattro 4-wheel drive system. Now, in addition, the 3.2 doesn't get body coloured back bit here, you get a louvered back bit here. So if you've got a 1.8T, that'll be in body colour, but if you've got the 3.2 or Quattro Sport would have a glossier finish, I believe, and the 3.2 has this nice matte finish with proper exhausts. And we are going to stick the Devs Reviews stick of honesty in there just to show you. Real exhausts, no fakery going on over here, and one of them are actually valved as well, which makes for a nicer sound. Stick aside, let's just have a little look around here. So again, the nice coupe roofline swerved down, so many curves it puts Kim Kardashian to shame, and you've got this iconic bolt fuel flap. Now you'll see these dimples or these bolts carried around the entirety of the car. It's a very, very iconic feature. The new ones have the TT bit written on there with the bolts kept round, and the Mark II got rid of those bolts, which is a controversial thing about those. But we're focusing on the Mark I today, so let's just admire this beauty. And then coming around to the side profile, you can see there's actually a nice line that follows from the back, crease across the side, and this crease leads all the way to the front. So another bit of design spice there. If we head to the front, you can see you've also got these power domes on the bonnet, which just emphasise the muscle and presence of the car, and these go down all the way to the side of the grille. And here we are back at the front. Now we'll have a look at boot space, and then we'll get to the interior in a second. So we're going to quickly look at the engine first, because that is the power plant of the car, then we'll look at the boot and the interior. So bonnet handles located conveniently on the right side of the car. Close the doors. As you can see, they had nice frameless windows on them, very nice. Just open up the bonnet here, And here is the beauty. The naturally aspirated 3.2 litre VR6, different to a V6, it's just assorted in a way so it fits in a front wheel drive compact vehicle or front wheel drive based vehicle, because this is Quattro. As you can see, very nice amount of coverings, very high end finish to the materials, pretty much sturdy. And this engine is naturally aspirated, not turbocharged, so you do get the pure muscly feel of it. And yes, you've got the red spark plug connectors just to show it's a quicker car than its 1.8 counterparts. This one's also got a custom VIN plate on here. This is not from factory, this is someone's done this mod, which is quite a nice touch when I got this car. Very nice of one of the previous owners who had this to put that on there. And it has got pretty much all the original stickers on the bonnet. And if you come around this side, another original sticker. And then we've got the washer reservoir in the right place out the way of the engine, so you don't pour cold water on the engine by accident. But a very solid bonnet, very solid hinge design, and I must say it's a very nice engine. 250 horsepower, I'll put the exact figure below. It's got decent MPG. I've got about around 30 miles per gallon average, which is all right for this age of engine, considering it's quite a gas guzzler though. And if you don't want to spend a lot on fuel, maybe this isn't the engine for you. The 1.8T may be the thing for you, but if you want to hear the nice sound and you want to have a nice weekend sports car, it's definitely a good engine for it, and you'll see why when we get on the road test part of it. Again, very solid quality. And now we'll go towards the boot space of the vehicle. Boot switch is inside the vehicle, or alternatively, you can press the boot switch on your typical Volkswagen looking key. Now, once you've got the boot open, just pull up from there. And as you can see, there's plenty of space, and especially if you've got a certain profession and you own this car, plenty of space for your hairdressing equipment as well. This has got the optional Audi cargo net, which is an accessory on the coupe only. If you've got the Roadster, well, unfortunately, you do miss out on the accessory net. Got a nice little integrated parcel shelf, and you have actually got a boot assassination warning in case you have rear occupants, if they're over a certain height, just to get them to duck down. Otherwise, you'll be making a trip to the hospital, not to your holiday. Nice little pull handle down here. Plastics are all good quality, all good nick, and you can also fold the seats down, but you have got to be hugging the steering wheel to have the seats fully folded down. And I reckon if you're short enough and you're not lanky like me, you can probably fit a set of golf clubs and go down there with you and your missus on a nice weekend to France, the seats down. But let's get the boot shut and let's have a look at the interior. So, hopping into the interior, let's get inside. So, as you get inside the TT, you can really tell it's a nice place to be. You can see a lot of dimples, like on the door handle pull bit, the door handle lower bit with the support to pull it. On the steering wheel airbag bit, you've got all these dots here. In the individual needles, I probably can't see it here, we'll get a cinematic shot, but you'll see all these little bits and little dimples. On the air vents, you'll see all the dimples. Every single switch, dimples, dimples, dimples here, more dimples here, even more dimples here, around the gear selector. And if you bought the optional Audi cup holders in the middle, you'd have dimples on those too. So there's plenty of dimples, just to remind you, you're sat inside a TT, you know what car you're in. A lot of people call them golf ball bits, because on the Golf they have a few of those as well. So it is quite a common early 2000s Volkswagen Audi group thing. But yeah, build quality is pretty good. There's no creaky plastics. You've got an ashtray in here for room for all your stuff. So I've got my charger in here. You have actually got a cigarette lighter, not one of those bungs. So what I used to call them as a kid is the fingerprint eraser. Probably heard of those. But you pop it in, you put your fingerprint on it. You get the joke. But yeah, they had an ashtray in here. Obviously I don't use it as an ashtray, it's storage for me. Under this flap you've got your radio or your cassette player, and in the back you have got a 6 CD changer with a magazine that pops out. So any 2000s TT drivers who drove these cars back in the day will relate to that, and anybody who's driven any 2000s sports car from Audi or Porsche knows you get a 6 CD changer on them. Very good stuff. And yeah, I'd say it's pretty good storage space. You've got a nice little place for your phone here. I have got a little wiring rig for my tape player, so I can play songs from my phone, which you can easily do on Amazon, getting some mods on those. You've got yourself your sun visors, your vanity mirrors up here. I don't know if you can see that up there. You've got your vanity mirrors up there. You've also got a mini sun visor here, so you can block the gap between the interior mirror and the top of the windscreen out. And these cars also do come with a slight tint on the top of the windows, kind of like a makeshift sun strip that Audi have put as part of the design, just so you don't get dazzled by sunlight. Really small things that count on this car. And of course you have got a lockable glove box, and just reminds you you've got a Quattro model as well with the Quattro inscription on it. And obviously inside you've got plenty of room for all your storage in there. Got a nice coin holder, nice card holder, which you'll see in just a second. And you have actually got cup holders, and yes, you can put a can of Red Bull in there. Probably show it to you guys a little bit later when I get one. And yeah, plenty of room for your stuff. It's not a ventilated glove box, but you have got plenty of room. It's a sports car at the end of the day, so it's going to be a bit of fun to drive. And you've also got a little storage place here. Not really many things you can put there really, but it's something for your passenger to put there. And yeah, other than that, it's a pretty comfortable car. It is, if you are tall, you may struggle to fit in it a bit, but as long as you're not near as long as you're not above 6 foot, this car's perfectly fine. And there's plenty of headroom in this car. They have made it very wide and nice to sit in. As you can see, the events also have a shutter feature on them as well, so you twist the dimples, and when the dimple on there is on the side, the marker one, it's shut. When the marker dimples at the top, it's open. Now, obviously there are a few common issues with these vents. If you do put them in wrong, if you have to replace the vent or you have to do anything like that, you can break the cogs in them, or you can break the cogs in them over time if you use them too much, so you have got to be careful. They are a bit cheap feeling in a way, but other than that, they're pretty sound, they're pretty good vents. And you have got seat heating buttons here that pop out, 6-stage heated seats. The dimples on these light up, which I'll try and show you soon if I can. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty good. You've also got all your release buttons here for your fuel flap, your interior alarm, and you've also got plenty of space here to store your wallet. So again, I think you're sport for choice with storage spaces, and you have a good old-fashioned handbrake, so you can pull it up and do your skid turns, but not in this auto. I don't think you'll be able to do that. Who knows? But yeah, you've got a minimalist interior, let's say, makes the car look 10 years newer than it actually is. And I would say that in terms of a spirited sports car, this is probably one of the best interiors you can get. Best build quality, best value for money. And I'm not saying that because I own this car, partly, yeah, but I do think from a perspective of the money you pay for these cars, and I'll go through the price of this car and brief running costs at the end of the video. But in terms of all that stuff, I reckon it's a pretty good value for money car. And yeah, the fit and finish, all these aluminium bits that are cold to the touch on a cold morning, it's all very nice. Now, you guys are probably dying for a sound test. We'll do that in just a second, and we'll take you guys out on a drive on the roads. Now, quickly, let's have a little look at the rear seats. So you can put this seat down here. There's a switch on this side as well, and same for this side. Got a switch on both sides. I'm going to get into the back in my driving position, and I'm going to show you what it's like for someone who's under 6 foot to sit in the back of one of these. Now, as you can see, it's practically a squeeze and a half to get in here, but I'm going to try and get in here as best as I can. I'm going to try and, I think this is as best as I'm going to get it. Let me just, this is not really a good representation, but in my driving position, I can't even close the seat. So you do need to move the seats forward, and I have driven with someone in the back on this side, and passenger moved forward, and I can tell you the visibility isn't that great, but this car is really just a 2+2 for show more than anything. Probably fit your dog around the back of here, but other than that, I would try and avoid the back if you're not a child, basically, because even as a child, when I got in my dad's one when he had one, it was quite a squeeze, I'll tell you that. You know, and when we went for the test drive for this car, I was sat in the back of this with my head like that, and I can tell you, it wouldn't be a fun experience for more than half an hour. Anyway, let's get into the drive and let's see how it goes from there. So we're now inside the car. As you can see, I've implemented the new view in the back. So thanks to my dad for setting that one up. We're now going to get going. I'm going to turn the key to turn on the electronics of the vehicle. All the lights come on, everything comes to life. It's pretty good. And we're just going to put our foot on the brake and start the engine. And even as you fire it up, it still sounds pretty good. Obviously it's not at its full capacity, so when we get around the back lanes, we'll have a go. We're just going to warm it up and take it for a little town drive now, so let's put it into drive. Tells you everything's okay. I'm not sure if you can see the dash, but it does tell you everything's good. It's quite an advanced digital dash on this in the centre display, considering it's a 2004 car. Now, suspension is quite a sporty feel. It does feel quite connected to the road. It feels quite rough. It's not as dampened as you think it could be, but it is a sports car at the end of the day, not a luxury car, so you do expect that from it. It's very low down as well. The profile of this car is very good. It's just very low down, very sporty, very aggressive, very stance, ready to tackle any challenge that's ahead of it. Just gonna wait for this road to become clear. Because it's an automatic, it does creep like most autos, but because it's an older automatic, you do come to find it takes a little while longer to creep than the newer autos that you get in the newer vehicles. And just by pulling away, you can just hear it's all good, sounds nice. And we're just going to do a bit of town driving at the moment, and you can't even feel the gear shifts. You can see it happening on there, but you can't really feel the gear shifts, which is a good thing. And considering it's the first dual clutch, it is a bit lurchy sometimes, especially when it's cold. It can be a bit lurchy, but once you warm up the engine and gearbox, it just runs like a dream, and you'll see that shortly as well. And it can get a bit jerky on the sport mode, but that is how it's meant to behave. But this car has got a dual personality thanks to this dual clutch gearbox. It can be jerky and a demon when you need it to be, but then it can be very, very nice, sophisticated like it is now, and just elegantly cruise around. And when we get to the drive bit, you will hear it's quite sound deadened, but it's not too sound deadened. It's not silent. Like when you do push the engine, you can hear it. You'll hear that in just a second when we get to the right bit, the back roads. So let's just enjoy a bit of a town drive with this one. See, the car's just taking it as it is, and even when you put your foot down now in drive, it will still drop a gear. And even if you put the kick down switch down, it will basically do kick down, which is basically like sport mode. And you can drive this in drive without having to go into manual or sport mode with just using the accelerator with more force, but I do find that a bit boring compared to using the engaging modes. But it's down to your personal preference really. If you don't like changing the gears all the time and you want to stay in drive, you can just press the accelerator harder, which is quite a good thing. And in stop-start traffic, this old auto is quite a dream to run, I'd say. Because there's no hill start assistance on it or anything, you can really tell it's just a nice car to drive. You can just let go of the brake knowing that nothing's holding you, just, you know, creeps forward. And even on a hill, thanks to the mechatronic unit in the gearbox, it will detect the slope and it will actually increase a bit of power just to get you above that slope. And the brakes are pretty good on this car, as you'll see when we get to higher speeds. It is a good performer. Now, talking about interior quality while we're here, might as well talk about it. The plastics are pretty good quality, as I told you earlier on. The leather on this car is all 100% genuine, including the door cards, and if you did get a different colour interior, you would get different colour door card inserts, different colour seats. The steering wheel and the rest of the cabin would stay the same, but you would get inserts that are different colours, which is a pretty good feature of this car. And on this V6 one, you do get automatic climate control, or climatronic as standard, which is a very good feature. It's very clicky, it's very relay-like, very nice to use. And if you just accelerate very gently, you can just tell the car pulls off very nicely. If you do press it a bit too hard, it can get a bit jerky sometimes, so you have got to be a bit calm on the accelerator. But so far, it's a solid drive. And just everything in general. These are dashboard binnacle bits, the glass between the actual dial and, well, the edge of the glass. It's all actual glass, it's not plastic, it's nothing cheap or anything like that. If you tap it, it is actual glass. It is very nice to touch, very nice to tap, very nice to use, but the whole car is nice to use in general. And the needles are, because it's an old car, the needles are ever so precise, so you can actually see the needles moving ever so slightly, incrementally, all that stuff like that. And just in general, these seats are all real leather. It is heated as well with 6 stages of heating, and if you can see all the lights, but it has got 6 stages of heating, and the dimples do light up as well, which is a pretty cool feature. It can get really toasty really quickly, so that is the only pain in the neck about it. But if you want to have quick seat heating, unlike most cars nowadays, you can get quick seat heating, and it doesn't time out as well. The indicators are all relay done. The hazard lights are relay done. Everything is done by a relay. It's all ever so nice to use. On this multi-function display, you do get a lot of features, but I will run that down in another video, go through the actual car's drive in a bit more depth, because obviously this is just the base review of it. So if you do want to see another video on this car, do give this video a like, give it a comment, let me know let me know what you think of the car. And yeah, we're just going to go around the rest of the town drive now, and then we'll go onto the dual carriageway, and we'll give you a taste on what it's like to do, well, what it's like to cruise in it, really. But yeah, this car's pretty good. We can put sun visor down now, and it gives you a good amount of protection. And even this mini sun visor here gives you a good amount of protection from the sun. I know it's a small little gap between the mirror and the top, but it's just a nice little detail that not a lot of car manufacturers do now, because you have got a massive, well, rain sensor around it now, so you won't need a mini sun visor on newer cars. And if you've got a TT with the garage door opener at the top, you actually lose that sun visor as well. But the garage door opener isn't a common spec in the UK, at least for what I know. Maybe in your local market, if you're from a different country watching this, maybe your local market's got a garage door opener, but this one doesn't have that. So not a lot of them have it. And yeah, other than that, still a nice little quirk. The mirror's also got manual anti-dazzle. By flipping the switch in the back, the mirror goes up, gives you a ghosted image of the cars behind. Good old-fashioned tech, and well, it does feel quite satisfying the flick, to be honest. Yeah, but other than that, most of the stuff in this car is good old quality plastics and good quality leather. And when I first got this car, because I never sat in a leather seat car and I had a Polo, if you want to see that review on that one, just give the I'll put a link in the description, or a playlist in the description of the car reviews I've done, or whatever car. I'll pop a video down, but there is a video on my Polo, and because I owned that for a while, I got in this car for the first time, and it smelled like leather. It smelled beautiful. It was amazing. And if you do get into one of these cars for the first time, you will notice that smell. As you get used to it, you kind of get used to it. It kind of wears off, that smell. But put the AC in recirc and you will smell it again. So it's pretty good. These cars also do have heated mirrors as well, which they're not on the switch pack here, but when the temperature gets to a certain temperature, they actually come on themselves, which is quite advanced for a 2004 car. My Polo didn't even have that auto feature. You had to manually put the heated mirrors on. So this car is miles ahead of its time, considering it is, well, nearly a 21-year-old car now. It is getting towards its 21st birthday, this car is, because it was registered in the spring 2004. And I actually went all the way up to Preston to pick this thing up from an old bloke named Paul, and he gave me the keys to this car. It was really, really well kept. Found it in his garage, and it has spent its life mostly in people's garages, because it has tyres on this car, which I know is kind of insane to think. And people will probably say, oh yeah, dry rot. I might get a few comments about that, but in reality, the car's been looked after. I do check these tyres quite a bit. And yeah, let's get onto the motorway now. I'm going to put a bit of acceleration down. Very considerate of the HGV drivers. Anyway, let's get into this right lane in just a second. These cars have got one-touch indicators as well, because of the age of them, so they are relay done. But once you get this car to speed, this car doesn't actually have cruise control, so you do have to bear that in mind. But if you leave the accelerator in a steady position, you can keep it at speed pretty easily. Cruise control on these things were quite rare, to be honest. I did see a very, very small share of cars, and if you're really concerned about cruise control on these, you can get them retrofitted if you wish, or you can also get yourself a newer TT with cruise control as standard. But as far as I'm concerned, cruise control is more of a luxury than a necessity. You don't need to drive the car with it, and if you've got the DSG, it already powers through the gears and already holds you at speed. So now we're going to put a bit more speed down there, approaching the speed limit now. So we'll just overtake this vehicle. But this car does hold speed well. It does give you good returns on the motorway, especially when you're driving at 90 degrees the entire time from the engine at full temperature. and I would say this car is pretty good on the motorway. It's quite comfortable. Again, I wouldn't say it is the most fuel efficient car, because again it is a 21-year-old V6, but on the flip side, if you drive it gentle enough, you will get, I got about 34 miles per gallon driving 2 hours down south, so you can get good miles per gallon if you're lucky enough. But again, that all comes with driving it like a limousine driver and not changing to sport mode for a bit of fun. So you do have to kind of sacrifice your fun driving if you want good economy on it. The braking power is pretty good on this car as well. It stops pretty good. I've got my foot not hard on the brake, but I've got it relatively pressed down, and it stops quite well. And because this car's only got 60,000 miles on it, well, it's got 61k now, but because it's got, we'll say 60,000 miles, and it's a 20-year-old car, it drives really well. It feels like a brand new car, and I picked this car up with just under 52k on the clock. So having a car this age, this power, all the variables that make this car affordable and all that stuff and fun to drive, you'd think you'd find them a lot with a lot of high miles and high owners. But this one only had 6 owners before me, which sounds like a lot, but for a car this age and this mileage, and going to show that the owners before this were fanatical, it just goes to show that you can get yourself a good car that's been looked after, drives well. And this car does feel like a brand new car to me, because, well, it's well kept, the leather's in good knack, everything's in good knack. It drives well, handles well, and the engine bay, as you saw in the previous shots, were pristine. Now we're getting towards the slower zone. What I'll do is I'll catch up with you a bit when we get towards the funner roads, and we'll get back to you then. Right, so we're getting towards the funner roads now. It's currently at 40 at the moment, so I am being a law-abiding citizen and just going around here at 40, but in a second, not too far away, there is a 60 mile an hour zone, national speed limit zone, which is here. First things first, I'm going to put it into sport mode and just show you how insane it is. So I'm going to put the gear selector in S. I'm going to just do an acceleration now. And as you can tell, it's holding the revs really high. If I slow down a bit as well, it will jerk back up a bit. Give it a chance, give it a chance. There, it's just jerked up. Urging you to push it on more. And when we go around this corner here, I can send it down this corner because the four-wheel drive system will be regulating my traction. Now obviously you won't get good fuel returns on this because, again, this car is being thrown to its full capability. And you can just feel the fun in it. And yes, people will be like, oh, it's an automatic, it's boring. But can your manual do this without you being a skilled driver, without ruining your engine and your clutch? I doubt it. And because it's four-wheel drive, you've got that full-on peace of mind that you can send it down a corner knowing that there's not going to be much repercussions if it goes wrong, because the traction control will kick in. And even with the traction control off, I'm pretty sure this car is pretty safe. And it just goes like a rocket. Again, pushing me to push it around more. Let's brake a bit there. You can see the car just loves it. It just loves asking you to send it around the corners. Now, I'll put it into manual mode quickly. You can do it through the stick, or you can do it from the paddles. And again, I prefer using it through the paddles personally because I'm one of those modern kids, but my dad would say otherwise, that the gear stick's better. I'd say both are equally as fun. Coming from a manual, definitely is quite fun to go back and shift the gears. We are heading to a slower zone now, so. But yeah, it's pretty good, and you've got a display down here showing you what gear the car is in auto and even in manual mode. So you can kind of just shift it to your own will. And it sounds pretty good in the lower gears. Probably hear on the external camera view in a second when you get a bit, when you get a few of those shots. I'll edit it in and you'll see how good it sounds. And this car really is, I'd say it's really euphoric to drive, very, very engaging, very, very nice. It just wants you to push it more, and it's like, you know, go on, give me more, and, you know, you just push it further. You can have a bit of fun with it, spin it around the corners. You've got to be really, really stupid to crash this car, I think, because of the four-wheel drive system. And I know it's an old school Audi, so you could say, oh, it's a bit unsafe compared to the newer counterparts, but personally, I think you'll have a very, very hard time trying to get this car to spin out. You've got to be really good at spinning out to get this to spin out. I really doubt it will spin out. And because of that, I think it's probably one of the safest cars for. Or I wouldn't say it's one of the safest, because obviously there's something safer than this. Obviously, you know, there's going to be safer cars out there, but I do think that this is one of the safest first sports cars that you can get. And you're going to have a hard time trying to find something this fun, this noisy, with no soft limiter, obviously, because the new cars all have soft limiters. You can't push it past 3,000 or 4,000 RPM without having to put it into gear. So, you know, I think, in my personal opinion, this is a good value for money car. And in terms of payments and costs, I can talk about it now while we're doing the boring bit of driving. I paid just under 9 grand for this car, 8,950 to be exact. It only cost me a little bit more. It only cost me a few £100 more to insure it compared to my Polo, which is quite surprising considering I'm 19 years of age. But because of the reputation of a hairdresser's car, a lot of youngsters don't want to be seen driving these, and I think there's nothing wrong with this car. I wouldn't say it's a hairdresser's car. People watching from different countries are going to think, what's a hairdresser's car? Well, it's basically British slang of saying it's a girl's car and it's a car for girls. But unless you're a really well-paid hairdresser, I don't think you're going to be hooning around in the V6. These things are quite expensive to maintain if you're doing a lot of work to them. I'm doing a service on this at the end of this month, and I got quoted just around the high 200s just for labour, doing an auxiliary belt, doing all the filters, and obviously doing the oil change as well. But if you're doing engine work, it will be quite expensive, and it is quite hard. Well, not a hard car to work on, but because it's compact in the engine bay, mechanics might charge you more. Depends really. But if you take it to a specialist garage, I think you'll be fine. Now I'm going to pop it in the Sport again, just because it's gone to a 60. Just enjoy that symphony of the V6. Do another pull for you guys. Car really just wants you to do more. You're going to lose your license if you continue going fast like this. So this car can get you the license losing speeds, but it's not 250 horsepower. Once you get used to it, you can have a bit of fun with it even when you're not driving over speed limit speeds. But I reckon this would be quite a fun car to drive on the Autobahn, providing you want an expensive fuel bill, or a very quick fuel bill at least to say, because we're now, after all that driving, I'm getting 26.4 as an average MPG. I am going to reset that and see what we get now. I'm going to leave it on the MPG screen, and I'm going to put it into sport mode now. And I've got 15.4 MPG showing up on 15.9, 15.3. So you can get really bad fuel returns if you want to drive it like a maniac. And I'll tell you, for a full tank of this, on this, if you're looking at using V-Power or premium fuels, you'd end up paying about, well, let's say you're on the low reserves, for example, which is when I usually fill up, or start on the reserves. It would usually cost you about nearly 90 quid on V-Power, depending where you are. But last time I filled up on V-Power, I paid like 87 quid, but I used a few Shell points to get that down. It was nearly 90 quid when I filled up. But I use now a 95 RON, and I'm going to debunk a myth for you. Using standard E10 on this is fine. I've not had an EML light on, and I've used the standard fuel for about a month now, and you can use E10 on this. The fuel quality is good enough here in England. If you're in like America, you probably want to use a higher quality fuel on these, just because you might get an EML light come on. But on this, I've debunked the myth for you. You can use E10 on these, so these are perfectly safe, future-proofed. You can pretty much use E10. And now I'm getting about 21 miles per gallon. That will go up and up and up as we drive. But yeah, the fuel economy is questionable sometimes, but because of the car's engine size and the performance it brings, because it's naturally aspirated, you're not getting any sort of efficiency and boosts, but you do get no turbo lag. You get press and go acceleration, and as Jeremy Clarkson says, to match a press and go shampoo, wash and go shampoo even. I did kind of fumble that there, but if you watch Top Gear in the early 2000s, you'll get that reference when he reviewed this car. And he was very, very mesmerised by the flaky paddle gearbox, as he said, because basically how this gearbox works is if I'm in 5th gear now, it's going to spin up 6th gear thinking he's going to want 6th gear, but once if I want 4th gear, oh wow, it's gone to 4th gear. So you can if I want to go, okay, I want to go down to, it probably thinks I want to go to 5th gear, but I decide 3rd gear. It changes really quickly. And the brochure for this car on the V6 one does say the shortest distance between 2 gears with no spacings on it, because well, with this car was again the first ever dual clutch that had the quickest distance between 2 gears, has lightning fast gear changes, and well, for a car this age, it's impressive how smooth it still shifts to this day. And obviously in a newer car you would have smoother shifts and better creep in the gearbox, but this, I would say this is probably on par with most modern cars if you don't drive this and modern cars simultaneously. I think if you spent a few months in this, you just feel quite alright. Well, people say there's lots of issues with these DSG gearboxes, but the only issues they had was earlier on in the model's life cycle. There were later oil change intervals on these. People said these gearbox oils lasted 10 years, but came to know it, people end up having gearbox issues because they didn't change the oil, because Audi said, oh, every 10 years. And eventually Audi changed the intervals and fixed it, and now the DSG gearbox there's no issues with it. But yeah, this one's been well serviced, it's been owner serviced before, it's been taken to specialist garages, so I've had no issues with mine so far, touch wood. But really, I think this is a great car. I love it. This was actually one of my childhood dream cars, so I may have a little bit of bias on it, but my dad had a lot of these when I was younger. I saw the Top Gear video, well, not when I was a kid, but I did see the Top Gear video a bit later on this car, and as much as Jeremy Clarkson didn't like the TT, I love this car. I know it's a childhood hero of mine, but it really is an icon, and it really has shaped the way cars are now. And unfortunately the TT has been discontinued, so this is going to be a last of its kind really kind of thing. Like, there's not going to be any more affordable small sports cars from Audi yet. Hopefully in the future we can see maybe an electric TT. I'm not a fan of electric cars, but hopefully we can see the TT come back to the range, and hopefully Audi don't butcher it when it comes, if and when it does come back. And same for the R8, another great car. Unfortunately, all these great cars are going to be something that my generation will be the last to see. I'm very lucky I've grown up in a time where cars have had a good compromise between tech and a good compromise between engines being good. And I'm very happy to say this car was one of my childhood heroes, to be honest with you, because this car now, if this car was an idea now, probably wouldn't be made, because the manufacturers have a lot more regulations to face, a lot more issues to face. But back then Audi were on crack, and so were Mercedes, and so were BMW. A lot of the brands would just think, oh, let's stick a V12 in this SUV, let's stick a V8 in that, all that stuff. So now we're going to just go around for a little bit more of a drive, and then I'll take you to the verdict. Now we're on to the verdict. Thank you for watching this video so far. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Now let's crack on with the verdict. So the Audi TT Mark 1, I'd say is a good find. If you're willing to pay around near 10 grand for a good example, or even over 10 grand for a really good example, be prepared to, because it is a good investment. If you do want a Mark 1, you don't really care about the condition and you want it for a little while, get yourself, you can get yourself a pretty good used example that's, you know, been looked after, but obviously there's going to be a few modifications to it, or it could be that it's in bad condition compared to what you could get one of these. But I'd say they're good value for money regardless of the condition. If it matches your price, go get it, definitely. On the other hand, if you want a good quality car and a good value car that's been well kept, the Mark II V6s are less money on the market, so they're definitely a good investment if you don't want to pay a lot of money, but you don't want a bad example Mark I. And some of the Mark IIs do come with power seats and MagnaRide adaptive dampers if you did want those extra luxuries that you don't get in the Mark I, because the Mark I's quite a basic car compared to the Mark II in terms of it just does what it says on the box and over delivers in terms of it's really good value for money, hidden gem. And this Ava silver paint, looks amazing. It's really good in the sunset. It's compared to the standard silver, it's a bit more bluier, and there's plenty of fun colours you can get with these TTs. Most notably, my favourites would be number one, this Ava silver, and I'd also say the papaya orange one. It's quite a nice colour, and the red one's quite nice as well. But this silver one, I'm a very big fan of. The badges are very nice on this car. Everything looks great. It's very, you know, I know I've just washed it, so it looks great. But if you get yourself a nice mint example like this, you can have the car in its former glory like it was back in the early 2000s. In general, I'd say there's not much maintenance-wise common issues. As long as you look after your car, the engine runs well, as long as you put good quality fuel in, if you don't live in a country with good quality fuel, the car will run and last you a long, long time. This car is 21 years old and it still runs well, still starts nicely. There's no issues with it majorly. And obviously, as long as you keep on top of your maintenance, the car can give you good returns back on it. Now, there's a few things that I like about it. The majority of the stuff I like about it, but there's a few little annoying things, like this wiper here doesn't fully touch the windshield because of its shape. And when you have dirt on it in the winter and you use the wipers, the dirt can be picked up to the top, so you end up using your washer fluid quite a bit. And the washer fluid does hit the wiper arms as well, causing a lot of washer fluid to go over the roof, but it's because it's a small car, so it ends up spraying everywhere. They're semi-adjustable washer jets, but there's not a lot of adjustment compared to your conventional car. The plastics on the grille, because it's matte plastic, you don't see as many scratches. If you've got the Quattro Sport or you have one with a gloss conversion kit on it, you would probably get a lot of scratches on it. So if you're not worried about that, you can go ahead and get one with a gloss black grille or Quattro Sport. But these are really good, and the car itself is very nice. The whole thing is minimalistic. It doesn't look too sporty, it doesn't show off like, look at me, I'm a sports car kind of thing. But it's just under the radar, and when you put your foot down, it sounds amazing. And those clips, obviously, that you saw earlier on in the video, you could just hear the sound. And a lot of people would look surprised at you if you tore past them in this car, because it doesn't look like, your flashy sports car that shows it's a sports car with bright colours. But if you got yourself like a papaya one, you could eastly show everyone you're driving a sports car. And you can also paint the calipers on them if you wanted to. They don't come painted as standard, the calipers, so just bear that in mind. My next favourite feature would have to be the dimple theme on the fuel cap in the interior, and as well as that, the etched TT markings in the door sill. Now, the reason why it's called a TT is because it's named after the Tourist Trophy event that the founders of Audi actually won. And you can see the car's in good nick. The dimple theme's amazing. The aluminium sport pedals are amazing. The amount of aluminium and metal they use on this is amazing. The whole bonnet's basically aluminium, so it's very lightweight, very efficient in terms of the weight saving they try to put on it. If you wanted the more aluminium based car, the Mark II has more aluminium on the lower bits, so it saves you from rusting, saves the rusting. This car doesn't have any rust on it at the moment, but has had rust protection done to it. And as long as you keep on top of your rust protection and your paint protection, you could probably keep this car running, for as long as possible, really. But rust is inevitable in these cars. You do get a lot of them that start bubbling up, peeling up, and you do get a lot of them with headlights that start fogging up as common issues. But this car's been really, really well looked after and pampered, so it's not really had many of those problems, and hopefully I'll continue to keep it that way. Now, in the manual, a nice little detail they did put in is the 757 cockpit, which is pretty cool. Nice little nod to the sports car of the sky. And the whole manual aesthetically just looks great. I'd say it's a good little car. Nice amount of pockets in the driver's side for your keys and stuff just down there, and you've also got a manual pocket under the steering wheel for your instructions to stick them there. But yeah, other than that, in terms of the condition of the car and the way it's built, I'd say it's an amazing car with very, very little issues to it. And my verdict to this is, I'd say go right ahead and buy one of these. If you've got the money for it, definitely give it a buy. These cars are definitely worth your time. definitely worth owning for a few years, definitely worth having fun with. And obviously, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It gives me to the conclusion, go right ahead and buy one of these. It will definitely, definitely make you happy. You'll always enjoy waking up to one of them, and you'll always enjoy waking up to driving it. I can tell you that I do every day. I wake up every day with a smile, knowing that I'll be able to get behind the wheel of this and give it a spin. But yeah, other than that, just want to thank you guys for the support on this channel. It's been nearly a year since this channel's been running on, posting videos and stuff. I want to give a special thanks to my dad for filming today. And yeah, last of all, just like, subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll answer your questions or queries that you have about this car. Other than that, thank you for watching Dev's Reviews. I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Catch you later on.